I'd like to thank everyone for joining us tonight for OTF Connects, using 2.0 tools to connect students with Nellie Bickley and Jim Carlton. I'm Louise Marie Learn, and I just work to support these particular webinars, but the real mastermind is Sirius Gerhan, who is facilitator and administrator of this program at OTF, and you'll see that she is logged into the session, but she's unable to say hello right now, so I think she'll be joining us at the end. So thank you all for taking time out of your own day to further your learning. And we certainly welcome Nellie and Jim and thank them for the hard work that they've done to put this together and to share all the amazing stuff that they have tonight. I'm going to ask how many of you are already familiar with this particular interface using Blackboard. You can look under your name and give me a green check mark if you have used this format before, and under your name you'll see that is the fourth icon to the right. That looks pretty good. So Janet, this is something new for you. So I'm going to give a little quick run through of the interface. And I'm just going to move my slide one. There we go. So this is a little snapshot of the interface. I can grab my pointer. And here we are. You've got the audio video box, and if it is a big black box like that, you can click the little down arrow there and it will minimize that for you. There's our talk button for turning on your mic. We just ask that if you do use your microphone tonight, that you remember to turn it off again when you're finished speaking, so that we don't have too much feedback with multiple mics in action. Below that, we've got the participant window where you'll see your name, as well as the four icons, the main feedback icons that we use throughout the session. The first one being the little drop-down emoticon. So you can go ahead and hover your mouse over that little happy face, and you'll see that you have about 8 options there that, thank you, Jackie, you can give me a happy face now, or any other symbol just to give it a try. And right next to that, we've got the away symbol. So if you do have to step away from your computer for any length of time, you can click that, and then we'll know that you're there, and we won't expect your participation at that time. If you are going to be using your microphone tonight and you have a question that you'd like to ask, we will be using the hand-raising button. And you'll see that when people put their hands up, you get an ordinal, and that lets us know what order to call on people. And I've already introduced you to the green check red X, which is the polling option, and it is just set at yes, no right now, but sometimes we do have other options there as well. Next, we've got the chat box. So you're already all using the chat box by the look of it. So anytime you want to share a thought, an idea, a comment, you can put that in the chat box at any time and just hit your enter key, and it will submit that into our little chat here. Now, one of the important things is that you can unpin any of these windows and rearrange them on your screen so that you can see more or less or whatever you need. Most people like to open up the chat, so if you just hold your mouse down on top of that, you can just pull it right out and resize it and stretch the edges so that it meets your needs. We also have a number of whiteboard tools, but I have a feeling that we're not going to be using those too much tonight. But for OTF's records, we do love to have teachers let us know where they're joining us from. So you see the big yellow arrow here, and it is pointing to the icon feature for the whiteboard. So if you could go ahead and click on that starburst symbol, sometimes you double click and sometimes you can just grab that little tiny black arrow in the corner, and then you can select one of the symbols that's there and use it as a pointer to drop on the map and let us know where you are joining the session from. Or we'll call you quick. People already started on that. Fabulous. The next option that I would normally show you, and if you want to go ahead and grab the text button, which is the capital A that you see here, and if you double click on that, you'll have an option to have just a capital A or A with lines. The A with lines is a text box. We tend to want to avoid that. It doesn't cooperate with us as much as we'd like. So the plain old capital A, and you can go click anywhere on the whiteboard and let us know the town or the city that you're joining us from, and click your enter key, and then we'll have a little recording of where you're all from. Concord, Newmarket. I'm the one from Ancaster. And it looks like we lost some of our symbols. That's a little unusual. Okay, well, we do get an idea, and so thank you very much for letting me play there for a bit. And we're going to go ahead and move on to the beginning. And Mally and Jim, it's all yours right now.
Thanks very much, Louise, and thanks everyone for being here. Mally and I are always excited and honored at any time we get to share some of the things that we've been doing, because for both of us, this journey that we're going to be sort of talking about tonight has been something that's really changed our teaching practice dramatically over the last probably 6, 7, 8 years now. So what we're going to be looking at this evening is how we use Web 2.0 technologies to help us communicate, connect, collaborate on a variety of different projects with other teachers and students all over the world. Because, like I said, probably 7 or 8 years ago, both Mally and I felt sort of overwhelmed with teaching. And I know for myself, and Mally will tell her story in a little bit, I wasn't sure. I was at that sort of midpoint of my teaching career. I wasn't sure if I still wanted to continue on in teaching. I felt like I was doing still a decent job, and I was just teaching the curriculum, and I was locked into the 4 walls of my classroom. I knew that I should be collaborating with others, but I just always felt like I never had time to do that. And as far as technology went, I just avoided it like the plague, because at the time I felt like it was dehumanizing, and still believe it can be if it's used inappropriately. But really the real reason, when I'm honest with myself, is I just felt intimidated by it, and I didn't know how to use it. I was afraid of asking questions and that sort of thing. And I think a lot of our classrooms, whether we like it or not, are still these traditional teacher at the front of the room. It's the teacher who's giving information to students, and students have to kind of regurgitate it back to us. It's that sort of 20th century model of education. So what we're going to be looking at is how we've used the technology, and for us it's really not about the technology. We'll be looking at some Web 2.0 tools tonight, but for both of us, anytime we've learned to use any kind of a tool, it's always been as a result of having a reason to do so first. It was always because we were involved or engaged in a particular project. We had a purpose. We wanted to do something, and then it became, okay, so what tool are we going to use to make that happen? So it's never been about going out to, for example, and just learning how to blog or learning how to create a wiki or any of those kinds of things for the sake of doing it. It was always having that reason to do it first. So maybe I'll just stop for a second and let Mally just introduce herself a little bit there.
Hi everyone, I'm Mally, and again, we're really thrilled to be meeting and talking to you this way, and it's always sort of a miracle when we're able to connect this way, using the technology to connect us, and I think that's really where our story, where we find our story sort of started, is when we were able to connect with others and collaborate and share in this way to really enhance our programs. Just like Jim, about 7, 8 years ago, I was at the point of my teaching career where I really wanted to quit, and I had at one point said I'm not coming back, and I really felt that I was delivering curriculum as opposed to teaching kids. A few years ago we had the common curriculum where we had to check off all the expectations, and I was literally doing that week by week and really felt disengaged from my teaching. And I looked down at these little kids and I thought, yeah, if I'm disengaged with what I'm teaching, I can't imagine how they're feeling. So I really did some soul searching, and when I was ready to come back to the classroom, it was Jim who sort of let me know that these opportunities to collaborate within our school walls, first of all, collaborate together, but then widening the opportunities for our students and learning to collaborate and using the technology to work with other students. I really found it really engaging and exciting, and I hope that really brought that to our students as well. And so we've come back to teaching and absolutely love it and love the opportunities that technology has brought. But what, as Jim said, it's really not about the technologies, it's what it's brought to our students and to our lives. And we hope that you'll be able to see through some of these projects how it's changed our teaching, but not only changed our teaching, but changed us as people and as teachers, and hopefully changed the lives of our students.
So when we hear information and communication technology, or ICT, I mean, it used to just be IT, so information technology, and because, well, and I guess we'll get to that Web 2.0 stuff in just a second, and that's the part that we're going to be focusing mostly on today, is that ability to communicate with one another. But more than just being able to communicate, by being able to so readily and easily communicate with one another, just like we're doing this evening, it allows us to collaborate and to co-learn with one another, and it allows us to create these communities of learners and to really affect change within our classrooms, within our schools, communities. And I think that's what we're going to be trying to highlight with some of the projects that we'll show you here. And I love this quote from Alvin Toffler. He wrote a book called Future Shop. I think it was in the late 70s or something like that, so it was quite a while ago. And I love it because I think it's so true in today's world that in order to be successful in the 21st century, we have to be constantly learning, unlearning, relearning, and that goes not just for our students who, we hear are going to be having like 14, 15, 16 different careers throughout their lifetime. It goes for us as well as teachers. I think as the world is changing, we need to change our teaching practice to match it. So when you hear about these new literacies, or Web 2.0 tools, those are things like blogs and wikis, podcasting, social networks like Facebook, and we're going to be looking at taking it global as another example, video sharing sites like Vimeo and YouTube, micro network blogging like Twitter. So there's just a ton of different Web 2.0 tools out there, and we like to liken them to, it's almost like Lord of the E-Flies, because we have all of these students, all this youth out there using these tools, and in a lot of cases too, we're using them in our personal lives. But to date, and although I'm happy to say I think it's changing, we're not really helping our students as of yet to use these tools safely, respectfully, responsibly, and meaningfully. And in part, I think because the response of most school boards across the province, across the country, around the world even, when these tools all first came out, the attitude was, well, we just need to lock them down. So hopefully in your school board that's changing. It's certainly changing in ours, and a lot of school boards, I know that is changing. I think the attitude now more is, okay, we can't lock this stuff down because we do need to teach them how to use it safely, respectfully, responsibly, and meaningfully. Sorry. Okay, so what we're going to do now, and throughout this presentation, is we're going to stop and play with a few of these tools as we talk about them. So this one here that we're going to be looking at is Poll Everywhere. And what you can do is, if you just go to I think Louise has posted it into the chat box. So if you just click on that link and just go to pollev.com Carleton, we're just asking the question, what Web 2.0 tools are you using right now? That can either be in your classroom or in your personal life, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, any of those tools where you're, like I said, the main difference with the internet from 1.0 to 2.0 was the ability to communicate, collaborate, and share. So with the first phase, 1.0, the internet was a place that you went to get information from. It was the so-called read internet, whereas now 2.0 is like the read and write internet, where it's so easy to publish pictures, like on Flickr, those sorts of sites, to publish pictures, images, text, video, anything you want is so easy to publish now. So that's what they mean by Web 2.0. So if you go to that site, and what I want to do right now, Louise, is I need to share my desktop, and let me know if you can see that. Okay, so I'm sharing my desktop, and hopefully you can see the responses coming in now. So I can see Edmodo, Twitter, wikis. And the great thing about this particular tool, Poll Everywhere, is that you and or your students, right now you're just using your laptop or your desktop or whatever to respond, but you can also do it via a smartphone. Now, just a quick sort of note, you'll notice here that it says that you can respond, via a text message. And so if you have an unlimited text messaging plan, you think, okay, you're going to be good, because Poll Everywhere is free, up to I think you can have 30 different respondents, and they don't charge you for the text messaging. But it's one of those cases where you have to read the fine print of your Bell contract or Rogers or whatever. And most of them, what they'll end up doing is saying, okay, you have unlimited texting, but if it's a special kind of a text, and that's what this one is, because it's not going to a phone number. I forget what they actually call it, but it's just some sort of special text, and then they end up charging you for it. So you end up putting all your students in there, even if they've got a unlimited text plan, they'll end up getting dinged for it in the fine print of their plans. But the good thing is you can just set up a page, in this case it was pollev.com Carlton, and the same thing, if you went to that on your smartphone, it would automatically take the students to that question, and if I change that question, it'll automatically change that on your web page or within your smartphone. And then the other cool thing that you can do is I can now take these responses and I can put them into a word cloud. So I just click on word cloud here, and give it a second. Okay, and in this case, I'm going to choose to put it into Wordle. So it gives me all of the responses that I have so far, and all I have to do is just copy those, and then I'm just going to click on that, and it will paste it right into Wordle for me. And then that is going to create this word cloud for me. So you can see right away at a glance, it looks like Twitter, Edmodo, wikis, YouTube are sort of the most popular responses that we have. And I could change the layout and the color and all that sort of thing within here, and then publish this to a public gallery if I wanted, or take a screenshot and put it somewhere else, or embed it within my blog, or whatever I wanted to do. So that's great. I mean, it's great on two levels, because this is just two examples of a couple of Web 2.0 tools, Poll Everywhere and Wordle. And it's also neat to be thinking how a lot of these separate Web 2.0 tools will integrate and work well with each other. So again, I could easily take this particular Wordle, and I could get the embed code, which we're going to be talking about in a little bit, and then I could publish this to my classroom blog if I wanted to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to take us back to the presentation. I'm going to be talking again about how to use Web 2.0 tools in the context of what we call global collaborative learning. Now, when we say global collaborative learning, that can be a little bit misleading. And as we're going through some of the projects we'll be sharing this evening, they are indeed truly global in that we're interacting with students and teachers in other countries. But that's not really the point of this. The point is to expand those four walls of your classroom, to get your students engaged in real and meaningful ways outside of the four walls of the classroom, so that they're either getting out of the classroom or you're allowing other experts into your classrooms virtually. So it doesn't, it could be on a local level, so maybe you're connecting with, the local humane society or a hospital or anything. It could just be on a local level, can be on the national level, or on an international level. The point is, one of the key points here is that the tasks really do need to be real and meaningful. And I think that that's what the technology allows us to do. And we're going to be looking, the first few projects we're going to be looking at are through an organization that really started it all off for both Nally and myself a number of years ago, and that's the International Education and Resource Network, or IERN. And I see Nally's posted a link to their site in the chat pod, so if you want to open that up and have a look at it. And it's an amazing network of teachers and students all over the world who are engaged in hundreds of different projects. We're just going to be showing you just a few of them, but so we might end up showing you some projects and you might think, okay, but I'm teaching, that's not what I'm teaching, that sort of thing. The point is, if you go into iron.org and if you look at their project book, just search for the project book, you'll find projects at any age level on virtually any topic that you're looking for. Plus, it's a great place to network with other teachers if you're looking to start a project of your own. Okay, so we're just going to what we're going to do is we're going to just share a few projects and talk about the tools that we use to make those happen. We're going to let Nally start with the My Hero project.
And thanks, Jim. And as we go through some of these projects, we're hopefully going to get you to do exactly what you did before and be participating in some of the, like a simulation of what our students would be doing. And also, if you have any questions as we're going along, if you can put them in the chat box, we can try and answer them as we go, but we will have a section in a little bit for questions, but it's always good to sort of put your question in and we'll try and answer it as we go along. So the My Hero project is one of our absolute favorite projects for a couple of reasons. The content is amazing. It's definitely a curriculum-based project, and as you'll see, we hope that you'll be able to see as we're going along that these are not add-ons to our program. It's not something like, oh, we need to fit the technology in and we're going to be using this project. These are all really heavily embedded in curriculum. We hope that you can see the writing connections and the literacy connections and the reading connections that go along. So please don't feel at any point that these are definite add-ons. Again, as we said, it's a way that we've changed our teaching to fit the curriculum to make it more engaging for our students. So the My Hero project is a project that was started it was started 15 years ago in California by a woman who really wanted to have some positive role models in her own children's lives. So she wanted her kids to investigate what makes a hero, how ordinary people can be hero in our lives and report about it. And so she created this writing project and journalism project for students all over the world. It actually started as a secondary project and then has been developed to fit junior and middle and elementary students. So essentially the kids in your class turned into My Hero reporters. So they're learning about heroes, they're researching about heroes, they're performing interviews about heroes, they're either doing interviews in live and in person. They can be recording them on video or in using audio recording, or they're writing them down. When the students, if they choose to publish, and as we know now with 2.0, we're able to publish to a global audience. The My Hero project provides teachers with these incredible publishing tools. So when you join the My Hero project, you set each student up with an account, and they're able to publish their work using this great, it's the 5-paragraph essay graphic organizer, and the students can type into the organizer, into the My Hero publishing tool. They can add images, they can add links, they can put a bibliography in. The one thing I love about this is it forces them to cite any sort resources that they've used, and it creates, if they put the information in for a book, it creates a bibliography. So the online publishing tool is there, and once they've finished publishing their work, the students can each create their own website. And again, the My Hero Project allows a teacher, if you can attach a photograph to an email, you are able to create using their online tools, and it's called a web creator, the Create tool. You're able to create an online website for all of your student work. And within this website, you're able to put any artwork the students have created. You can have links to any of the videos that they've created and all of their My Hero stories and articles that they've written. And once we've done that, then it's published to the My Hero site, and you're able to share it with the world. So using those online tools, the students are really able to show what they've learned in a variety of different ways. And the one thing that we do appreciate about this project is it really speaks to differentiation. So the students might be interested in pursuing, video making. How are they going to represent their hero in a video and publishing that online? Or, when the kids write an essay, the general 5-paragraph essay, they hand it in to us. They do a fairly good job. We mark it, we give it back to them. Does it make it home? I don't know. We're never sure if it makes it home. But when they know that they're publishing for a global audience and their work is going to be shared with, on a class website, it's going to be shared with, all of their parents, they really put 110% into their work. And as I go and look at the students' work that they did at the beginning of the year, I am always impressed about the quality of their writing, because they know that they're publishing for a global audience. They're not just writing it for me, they're writing it for other people, and we find that that's a huge incentive. So the My Hero Project is an absolutely fantastic way for you to involve reading, writing, research. This year, our grade 5 students decided to use it with our science curriculum as well, and they researched famous Canadian science heroes. And it was a real eye-opener, and just learning about the variety of science heroes was incredible. And this project can be done in 2 ways. It can be done in a standalone project, which is just the class talking about heroes and making their own website, or they can work with a variety of students around the world in what we call in Iron a learning circle, where a project facilitator will coordinate 8 to 10 classes around the world. It can be a variety of, you can have a number of countries in your learning circle. For example, this time we had students from Slovenia and Mexico and Russia and a couple of places in the United States in our learning circle. So at the same time that we're learning about the heroes in our lives, we're also learning about heroes in the lives of students around the world. And what the kids found is that they really did have a lot in common, and that the students were really researching people that influenced their lives, and they weren't necessarily celebrities or superstars, but they were just ordinary people who had done extraordinary things. And so during the course of the project, one thing that the project facilitator usually tries to do is to coordinate a web conference using, any other 2.0 tools like Skype or Adobe Connect or Blackboard, which we're using tonight. So the same sort of situation would happen that we're doing right now, that the students who were researching about their heroes would get online, and we would open up a web conference, and the students would share about the heroes in their lives. And again, a real incentive for students who could be reluctant writers, but they really, really want to participate and share with their global peers and show what they know, and it's a great experience. And in this particular web conference, we had students in Russia who had gone back to school at 10 o'clock at night so that they could participate in this video conference, and kids in Brazil who were at school quite a bit earlier as well to participate in the web conference with their Learning Circle partners. So it was quite incredible. I'm going to let Jim tell this story about David Virgo, about how these connections also can really impact a student's life to take action.
Right, and what I love is, like when Mallie was talking about, if you decide to do this as a learning circle where you're actually connected with that global with global partners. The great thing is when you get to do one of those web conferences, I mean, you've got this built-in global audience already who's going to be viewing your students' artwork, videos, stories, those sorts of things. But what's so powerful for us, what we found is, it's like Mally's saying, I mean, the beauty of all this Web 2.0 stuff is the ability for all of us to be able to publish our work in real and meaningful ways. And it takes it way beyond just handing in artwork or a story or whatever to a teacher to get a mark to go into their backpack or maybe up in the classroom wall for a week or two or whatever, and then off to who knows where. So one of the great things that came out of this project was one of our students, if you remember a few years ago when they had that problem with street racing up and down the 400, and the truck driver David Burgo, he ended up giving up his life by driving his truck off the road in order to save others. So we had a little boy named Gabe who was a reluctant writer, who chose his hero to be David Burgo. So he published a story about David Burgo, and now the great thing is, like we said, this story is out there for people to read. So a few days after the story was actually published, somebody shows up at the school asking to meet Gabe, and it turns out to be David Burgo's widow, and she wanted to meet Gabe because he'd written this story about her husband, and the two of them connected, and now Gabe is helping her with her foundation to help prevent street racing in I was going to say just in Ontario, but I'm sure it's beyond, well beyond that. So it was that connection that really showed for Gabe that writing has a meaning. It's way more than just getting a mark.
And the other thing about that particular piece is with the online publishing and being able to update your website, Gabe went into his story sometime between when he originally wrote the story and last June. He went, which was about a year and a half, he went back in and re-edited and worked on his story because he wanted to share it again with others. So I don't know many examples of when students will take a year-old story and rewrite it in order to share it. We were shocked when we saw that. So that was just sort of a little aside of it. It struck us that a student would go back in and re-edit something after they had published and really wanted to make an impact with that story. Another project that we've done, My Hero, is one that you can do from probably about grade 2 up till secondary. This is one that you could do from kindergarten to probably about grade 8. The students love it. It's called the Teddy Bear Project. And it's one where two classes are paired up together in iron, and we'll explain a little bit later how you can meet other teachers in iron. But two classrooms are paired up in iron, and they essentially exchange ambassadors for their class. It can be a bear or a beaver, or we've had kangaroos come from Australia. And these ambassadors travel with the students as they go around their daily lives and report back to their home class. When the teddy bear goes over to the class that they're going to be visiting, they bring along with them a box of goodies and letters and cultural material and information about the country and candies and games, so that the teddy bear doesn't feel lonely. So one of the tools that we use to communicate back, we'll go back with the slide. A couple of years ago last year we sent a bear Maple over to Taiwan, and I had a grade 5-6 class, and we exchanged a teddy bear with a kindergarten class in Taiwan. And we're just going to show you a short video about the teddy bear visiting in Taiwan. But what we hope that you see is that this teddy bear has become part of the students' world, part of the class. It goes home with them. There's celebrations at the school that it goes to, and and it really becomes an important part of the student's life. So we'll just show you a short video. Maybe not all of it, but we'll let you see a taste of maple in Taiwan. Everyone will need to click the play or click anywhere on the video screen to get the video started. So we have the link there if you want to see the rest of the video, but we hope you can see what an experience this is for the students in Taiwan. What the teacher actually did was create an integrated unit learning about Canada and bears, and the kids did artwork and writing. So it really becomes part of the curriculum. But what we want to show you is how the students communicate back and forth between classes. And a few years ago when Jim did this project in his class, he created a website and was able to, and he's very knowledgeable about creating websites. And when his bear, Marshmallow, who came from Taiwan as well, had an experience, they would make a web page and share it with the students and send an email and send it to the students in Taiwan, and then the kids in Taiwan would send him the pictures and they would upload them and then Jim would upload them to the website. But right now, it's very easy to share information using a blog. So when our teddy bear, we have Kiki from Taiwan. When Kiki has an opportunity to have an experience, we're able to instantly put the pictures up and share them on our blog, and the class in Taiwan checks, and we let them know that there's a new experience for Kiki, their bear, and they're able to comment or send a question to our class about what Kiki's doing. So blogs are a really easy way to communicate information between two classes, and for a project like the Teddy Bear Project, it really does create some excitement. The kids are really excited to take the bears on an adventure and then post the pictures and a little description on the blog. And what we want you to do now is sort of simulate what we do with the students, is encourage you to visit the Teddy Bear blog. So if you check on the link that's in the chat box, it will take you to our class blog, or Kiki and Maple's blog, where you can take a look at a couple of the pictures that have been posted about the adventure. Kiki just came back, the bear that came from Taiwan to our class just came back from a 2-week adventure in Disney World. So today we were able to make a little slideshow. So if you can go to the blog, and I'll actually share, I don't know if I should do that. I was going to share my screen and show you, but if you go to the blog and take a look at some of the things that are on the blog, scroll to the bottom, and if you can leave a comment for the students, they would absolutely love that. The great thing about blogs is you are able to have people from all over the world comment. It's a great way to share information with students or with parents about what's happening in class, and you can set the moderations on the comments that they can be put up immediately, or they need to be moderated through you. So the link to the blog, Jackie, is right above where you are in the chat box. It's dreamteam5.edublogs.org. And I'll just give you a couple of seconds to look around in there. And if you'd like to leave a comment for the kids, maybe ask them a question about where the bears are going next, or maybe give a comment to the kids in Taiwan about the New Year's celebration that you can see. The pictures are fantastic from that celebration. when you get to our class blog, you'll notice that there's a Twitter feed that we have on the left-hand side, and as we participate in some of these projects, and we did one today that we'll be talking about in a little bit, the students are tweeting and providing that sort of instant information to our families, and we have several of our parents who are subscribed to our Twitter feed, and they sort of know what's going on in our classroom day by day, and today it was almost minute by minute.
Okay, and while you're doing that, and you certainly can, have a look at it later. All these links, everything will be available to you later. So what we want to do now is since we've been able to show just a couple of projects, hopefully give you an idea of what we mean. That for us, it really is about not so much about the technology itself. It's about having that purpose for connecting. It's about the relationships with others. It's the meaningful part for us. And then often what we'll end up hearing from people is like, oh, well, you must have a lot of technology in order to make this work. Because what we're going to do is show you a video that will just sort of highlight a few of the different projects that we've been involved in. And one of the reasons we love this video is because at the beginning, you'll see these students from Burkina Faso in Western Africa jumping off the back of this dilapidated pickup truck so they can go to a cyber cafe because they have no technology in their schools, so that they can hang a bed sheet on the wall so that they can participate in a web conference with our students. And so while I certainly agree that we do need to get more technology in our schools, everything that we have done, and that there's so much that you can do even with the technology that we do have available to us. And the other thing that we love about this video is towards the end when you hear Michelle talking about another project that I don't think we're going to be talking about tonight, but it's called Machinto, where students are sort of looking at the effects of war on children. The cool thing about that is in the past we've had participants from Iran and Iraq and the United States and Canada and Palestine and Israel, so places that are in conflict with each other at the time that the students are involved with the project. And you'll hear Michelle talking about how it changed her as a person. And that's really, for me, what changed my view on the dehumanizing effect of technology. So if you just give me a second, I'll take us to that video. And once again, once it comes up here, you'll just need to click on it to play. And I'll post it in the chat pod as well, the link to it, if you want to go directly to it. So go ahead and play that, and then we'll meet back together here it's about 5 minutes long. Okay, so it looks like most of us are ready to move on. So we're going to let Mally talk a little bit about the project book. Or I'll talk a little bit about the project book. And I'll post this link in the chat pod in a second. And basically, it's like I said before, it's going to take you directly to the project book itself within iRearn, or you can just go to iRearn.org and then just search for the project book. And within that project book, you're going to see, like I said, there's a couple of hundred different curriculum-related projects, all the way from testing water quality and sharing that information within your local communities, to creating like online newspapers and magazines. There's just a ton of stuff in there for any grade level, virtually any subject that you're looking for. I'll post that here and I'll talk to us.
Yeah, and iRearn is just one of the organizations that allows for or invites collaborations within their projects. There are lots of them. There's ePals, there's Global Network, there's Taking It Global, but one organization that we work with in conjunction with Taking It Global is called the Center for Global Education. And any of you who are secondary teachers or upper elementary teachers, they offer every month probably 30 video conferences with experts around the world, anything ranging from water quality issues in other countries. They work with people on the ground in Afghanistan who are working with the infrastructure. They host a national video conference every Remembrance Day where students, about 10,000 students all across Canada, connect with soldiers in Afghanistan and celebrate Remembrance Day and commemorate Remembrance Day with the soldiers in Afghanistan. And as Jim said, they are absolutely free. And if you don't have video conferencing equipment, they also simultaneously broadcast on Ustream. So if you can get an internet connection, you can have your students participating in these amazing programs. And what happens in a lot of these programs, it's not just a one-off experience. It's not just where you're connecting with the soldiers in Afghanistan. There are activities that are before where the students work together to discuss the issue. Then they have the event where it's sort of the information session. The students are invited to ask questions, and then there are activities after. And one of the projects that is right on the go right now, and it was just launched today during a video conference with some scientists in Indonesia. It's called Deforest Action, and it's an incredible project where students from around the world. Today in the video conference, there were kids from Brazil and Taiwan and Japan and in the Netherlands. Were learning about the problem of deforestation in Borneo and what's happening to the wildlife there, particularly the orangutans. And the students were able to speak to a bunch of youth that are called Eco Warriors, and they're 20 young people in high school and in university who are in Borneo working to essentially save the rainforest. And they're working in rehabilitating orangutans. They're working on the ground with the people in local villages trying to stop the trees from being cut down. There are 300 football fields an hour being cut down there. And what the point of this video conference was to really let the kids know that there is a problem in the world, but kids in Canada and around the world can have an impact and can make change. So if you go back to one of those slides at the beginning where using these tools to connect, we wanted the students to think about problems in real and meaningful situations. And I know in my students' case, it was so powerful this afternoon. They're 10 years old, and they were able to talk to the people who are in the rainforest. It connects to our conservation of energy unit that's in the grade 5 science. They were able to ask questions about what's going to happen if the deforestation continues, what's going to happen to the energy, what's going to happen to habitats, what's going to happen to the animals. And I know that they learned so much more from interviewing and also interacting with the other students than they would ever have learned from a textbook. So if you have an opportunity to connect with this project, it's absolutely amazing. And what I love about it is it really invites the students to take action. So we did the same project last year with the kids, and so they gave themselves a challenge to get 200 commitments from students within our school. They went around and gave the message about what they learned in the video conference, and connecting with the scientists in Borneo. And they went around and sort of did public service announcements. They created public service announcements. They wrote newscasts. They put those newscasts up on a program called Vimeo, which is what we've been watching our videos through. And they asked the kids in the school, what are you going to do to help the earth, and how are we going to help the animals? And they came up with their own action plan about helping others. As the students are working together in their classrooms, they're also able to go into an online classroom with that's hosted by Taking It Global, where the students respond to questions. They post they post some of their artwork about the project. So again, it's an opportunity for them to be published and publish and share their thoughts with an online community. It's an incredible project where kids can actually take action and make a difference in the world. Our school theme this term is Make a Difference, and this is the project that our students have decided that they're going to be making a difference in our community, and also by planting trees in our community, and also globally by supporting not purchasing palm oil. And we're also going to be adopting 10 acres of land in the rainforest, which is going to be monitored, and a feed is going to be sent to the students by cameras. It's very cool the way they have it. This is just a screenshot of the video conference that we had last year. I just didn't have time to put the one up from today, but you can see that there are students all over the world engaging in a project that they really believe in passionately. And the hope is, or the thought is, that these are global issues and they need global solutions, and the students are passionate about the environment and they're working together to solve these huge global problems. And it's really inspiring and really makes you feel good about our youth when you see them taking action this way. So we know we've been talking for about an hour now, and you might have some questions, and I see some in the chat box. So if you want to grab the mic and ask a question, if you have a microphone, or just put it in the chat box, we can certainly do our best to answer your questions, or we can get back to you with answers. Tanya, you asked about high school family studies. Not being high school teachers, I don't know if Jim has much experience with family studies. Again, if you look through the project book, you can certainly see if there's anything that would fit your needs. A lot of these projects, or many of these projects, aren't really cut and dry into science. There's always some sort of crossover and program integration. So even if it doesn't fit exactly into what you need, there is quite a lot of leeway. Yeah, day in the life would be kind of cool. Definitely. Human growth and sociology, psychology as examples. for the psychology one, there's one called Debunking Stereotypes that was just developed a couple of years ago that I know that Brenda Sherry, who works with Louise and was very instrumental in putting these webinars together. She recommended a day in the life to me, Debunking Stereotypes, where students come up with a critical question about another culture and connect with a classroom from that culture, and they talk about stereotypes. And one thing that we do like about these kind of projects is the students are learning with each other, so they're actually learning about the culture from students who are living in that culture. It's not like they're getting the CNN version of the news. They're getting the real, the stakeholders. So when, we think of students in Palestine who are dealing with the Palestinian conflict, we've had the opportunity and honor of actually connecting with kids and supporting students who are in war-affected areas during the conflict, and have the ability to ask them questions about what's happening as these conflicts are going on. And food for thought, absolutely. Louise, that's another great one.
And the other thing, I'll wait for Molly to turn off the mic. The other good thing too is if you look through the project book and you don't find something that suits you, what you can do, what we recommend for people to do anyways, is when you first go in, once you've signed up, and we'll explain that in a little bit, just post to the teacher forum and just introduce yourself. And so immediately, and that's what we did back in the beginning, and immediately you have all these teachers from around the world who are saying hello and who want to participate, who want to work with you. And so if you have a small idea for a project, or you just want a couple of teachers from somewhere else to work on nutrition or whatever it is, you can just post that up there and just see if anybody else wants to do the same thing. Okay, so we're just going to move ahead, but of course if you have any other questions, just keep on continuing to post them into the chat box. And or we'll definitely, we'll give you our contact information at the end, and so if you start down this journey and you just want some help on what projects are good, or just the sort of things that you're asking us right now, just send us an email and we can help you to get started.
Just a really quick project, and it really is a quick project. Some of these projects you'll see can go the course of 16 weeks, as in the case of the Learning Circle, or even working through the My Hero project, or the Teddy Bear project can take the whole entire school year, because you receive your teddy bear in September and then send it back in June with all of its packages. But some projects just take a few days or a week or two, and in the Iditarod is a good example of a really short project that has lots of impact and lots of activities that go along with it. What the students do is basically follow one of the mushers that run the Iditarod race in Alaska during March, and the students choose a musher, and there's lots of information on the mushers and lots of information on the Iditarod race, and they share it with other students around the world, and they cheer for that musher. And the really great thing about the Iditarod race now is it definitely has turned digital, where the students can tweet with their musher and send emails back and forth to their musher, and really learn about the history of the race and why the race started, and cheer for their musher, and learn a little bit about Alaska, and a lot about animal advocacy if your students decide to go that route. And it was a really fun project to participate. Just a short project, but a way to use those 2.0 tools to connect with others. At first, I wasn't a real a person that used Twitter a lot. I wasn't really sure how to use it, but when, as we've said, as we've seen reasons to use some of these tools to communicate and collaborate and share with others, I've definitely seen a purpose for it and using it in my class. And it's been a great tool for short projects and to use during video conferences, for example. Jim, do you want to talk about the India one? And how we got involved with that?
Just before I go there, so I just posted a link to a global teenager project too, and that's again another learning circle where they'll connect you with 3 or 4 other classrooms in the world, and then you in that other classroom, and those other classrooms, you'll decide upon what the theme or the topics are going to be. So there are projects like that that are very open-ended, so that they could focus on health and nutrition, whatever it is that you wanted it to be. And then, for example, your students would come up with a list of questions about health, nutrition, whatever, that they want answered, and as well as the other students in, let's say, Russia, Mexico, wherever it is, and then all the students together collectively have to go out and research and post and share the answers that they're finding from their own cultural perspective. So again, that's just another example. There are a number of projects that are like that are sort of open-ended in terms of what the actual content could be. What we found really works well is just picking something and getting started, because once you get started, you start to create these relationships with others that just grow in directions that you don't always anticipate in the beginning. So sometimes we might end up just connecting with another teacher within a project, and then we might not want to do an actual whole big project, but maybe we've just done a video conference with them where we just shared art lessons or something simple like that. And in one case, just last year, we were part of a project where we were working with teachers from around the world. They were creating a number of videos on how they were using technologies. HP had given them a grant, and how they were using their HP grants in order to further learning in their schools. So out of that, we actually got to meet some of these teachers who we've worked with online all throughout the year. It's always amazing when you actually get an opportunity to then meet people face to face. And so they had, in one of the schools in India had this environmental club that they focused on in their video. So they created this really cool video that was all about their environmental club. And then the great thing is now this year, Mally's working with that teacher, because they just developed that relationship, in order to talk about how they're using, what they're each doing in their own classrooms to further the environment. And so they've used, and I could see that it looked like a number of you had used Edmodo before, which is just a great education-based online social network. So it's like sort of like Facebook, but with an educational purpose. So they're using Edmodo to help them communicate and collaborate. And they're also using this other cool tool that we're just going to all kind of use right now together, in where they're creating this wall wisher, where they can post their ideas and thoughts. It's almost like having this virtual post-it note board where you can post up all sorts of ideas, thoughts. You can put in images, videos, the whole 9 yards. So what we're going to do right now is post a link to this wall wisher page. So if you want to go to it, what you can do is now you'll be part of this global team from India and Canada, and you can just post something that you and or your classroom or school is doing to help the environment. So hopefully that makes sense. And all you have to do, you don't need to log in or create an account or anything like that. You just need to, just waiting for mine to come up here. If you just double click anywhere in the, find a spot, just double click anywhere, it will open up a little note for you, and you can just put in a quick little note if you like. And you'll see we're probably not going to have time to do this right now, but you could add images, audio, video, all that kind of stuff. So just post a little note of what you, your class, your school is doing to help the environment, and then if you refresh the page, you should see all the notes that other people are posting in here as well. So we'll just give you, say, 3 minutes just to do that. And while you're doing that, I guess the point of this little section was just to highlight again, it really is just about getting started, and then those relationships will just evolve, and you'll end up, one project leads to another, one partnership leads to doing something else together. It expands your personal learning network from being just within your own school to really this global community.
And the other thing it really sort of brings home as well is a lot of these ideas and a lot of the activities in these projects become very organic. So as we learn about new tools, we look at the tools and say, how are we going to use this in the project? We're not really thinking about the tools. We're really thinking about how it will enhance the communication between the classrooms. So we're going to go on. I'm going to go back and see our wall wisher, which is really cool, and I'll send the students in India a link. They're off. The students are finished school at the end of this week, so they'll be really thrilled to see more people have posted to the wall, and I'll share it with my students as well. It's really exciting for them to see other people posting and communicating with them, and it's all about sharing ideas and problem solving and really thinking about how we can work together. So we'll come back to just one brief project, and then I hope that we'll have time to go on to the map. Jim, what do you think?
Yeah, or maybe we'll just move ahead. Maybe we'll just skip this one for now, because I think time's just fine. Or, you know what, maybe because that sort of sets up the map, and if you want to just talk about it quickly. Sorry. You're speed talking. You can do it.
Yeah, sorry, I was talking, I just didn't press the button. I keep forgetting to press the button in this one. Okay, so it's the Early People Symbols Project, and I guess it definitely fit into the grade 6 curriculum for social studies last year, but there are also a number of connections that you can hopefully see for grade 9 or grade 10 history. Learning about ancient civilizations, about how early peoples have used artwork to document their lives. So the students in several classes, there was a high school class in Taiwan, there was a high school class in Morocco, a couple of classes in the United States, and 2 classes in Canada that shared about their early people symbols. And we learned about totem poles, we learned about wall art from our First Nations, and when we received all of the information from all of the classes, we really weren't sure how to share it all together. And my students had been looking at Google Maps for a lit trip, and because they were documenting a story that we were reading, and created a literature trip on a Google Map where the characters had been. And one of the kids said, why don't we just put the students' work into a Google Map? So they actually came up with a solution. I was really impressed because I hadn't done it myself before. And again, you don't always need to know everything before you go ahead and work with the students. As Jim said at the very beginning, kids are out there using these 2.0 tools to communicate, and they have a lot of knowledge that they come with. So one of the kids had been working in Google Maps and knew how to embed a picture, and he said, okay, we're going to embed the picture of our totem poles, we're going to put it in Vancouver, and we can take a picture of the blog and we can embed that. So we created a Google Map, and if you go to this map, and there's a link to it at the end of the presentation, you can click on any of these icons and it will take you to a mini presentation, either a PowerPoint slideshow or a Vimeo movie, or it will take you to a blog where the students have shared their work. So it's just a way of consolidating all the student work and sharing it together. So again, I didn't necessarily know how to do this exactly, but we worked together and we problem solved, and I became the facilitator of the project instead of the teacher of all of the knowledge. And we worked together and put it together, and we found a way to share all of the work in a different way using some of those 2.0 tools. So we invite you to look at Google Maps. We had an activity, but we think it'll take about a half an hour. So we invite you to go into Google Maps and see the potential of it. And at the end, the presentation or the wiki site that we're going to give you at the end, there's a great video, a short video that tells you about the power of Google Maps and how you can use it to share information. So,
and I think here, this is just an image of Bloom's digital taxonomy, and even some of the way that they put these different tools within the pyramid with the highest sort of level of thinking being creating. I mean, I can look at some of these and you could even debate them and think, okay, is, for example, Flickr, is that just remembering, or it depends on what the purpose would be that could actually show up in under creation. So to me, it's really about what your purpose is. But I think we just threw this in here because I think it is really powerful to see how it really is about higher levels of thinking and having our students solving real meaningful problems collectively and collaboratively, which I think is the environment that they're going to be working in the future.
I think that we hope that through this you were able to see that using the 2.0 tools, it's really not about using the technology, which is the hardware. What we kind of think about when we're looking at the projects and looking at the relationships that are being built between the students collaboratively in the classroom and with their global partners, it really becomes hardware. It becomes building people and how they've changed and how we've changed. And some of the projects, as we said, can be as short as a couple of weeks, like the EI Diderot, or a year, like the Teddy Bear Project, or some can go on for years and years and years. And probably one of the things that we're the most proud of is a project that Jim started about 7 years ago when he first got involved with IRON, and connected with a community access center in Sierra Leone. And this community access center was visited by former child soldiers who had just come out of the conflict that was in Sierra Leone, where children were captured and used as child soldiers to fight a fight. And we knew nothing about this. And a group that Jim was working with had raised some funds to send a video camera over to Sierra Leone and ask the kids over there to document their lives. And they were, expecting to hear about, how difficult their lives were, but when the tape came, it was all about how they wanted to advocate for peace, and they really felt that they were ambassadors for peace. And through this, we met a little boy, and his name was Mohammed Sidibe, and he was about 7 or 8 at the time, and he was 3 years old when he was captured, and his family was killed in front of him, and he was fighting from the time he was 3.5 till 5, and this little group of kids that we were working with, they were in grade 1 when they started working with Jim, and we fell in love with him, and they raised money to send him to school. And through a really, really long story, very, very long and complicated story, and years, Sidibe ended up coming to the United States and now is on a full scholarship at George Washington University. And he really attributes his success to dreaming a dream with these particular students and then working together, and them supporting him and providing his education and being his friend and everything. And a couple of years ago, the students met at the IRON conference that we held in Canada, and it was probably one of the most the personal highlight of my life was when the students were able to meet. So this is just a short video of when the kids met and the impact that it had on their lives.
Okay, so hopefully you had a chance to look at that. Again, the links will be there if not. I think the point, I guess, for all of this, and hopefully we're not just beating it to death, is, for example, we've shown a number of different projects that we've been involved in, and they might or might not fit into what you're doing. But there are, like we said, hundreds of different projects out there. There really is a project for almost anything that you're already teaching, and or a network of teachers who are looking to work with you on project ideas that you might have. The key is that it really isn't about the technology itself. I mean, the technology just enables us and allows us to do things that we were never able to do before, or certainly not on this sort of scale. It can help you to create real and meaningful experiences for your students that go far beyond just the traditional paper and pencil type activities, and far beyond just taking a traditional paper and pencil activity and making it electronic. So, for example, just writing, what I did on my summer vacation and posting it to your classroom blog is better than just doing it in pencil or paper, I would say, but certainly not as powerful as having them engage and communicate and collaborate and help solve a real world issue with their global peers. So like we said, if you have other questions and or you're looking to try and get involved in a project that would fit better within your grade level or subject that you're teaching, definitely just get a hold of us. Our emails will come up in a minute. But in the meantime, too, these links here will take you to the first one, jcarlton.net/ICT. Actually, we need to change that one to iEarn. So it should be the one with iEarn, not ICT. It will highlight some of the iEarn projects that we've shown you, as well as some of the other iEarn projects, including the global teenager one that we alluded to a little bit earlier, as well as there's a link to the Learning with the World Wikispaces document, or wiki, that will have all of the links to the videos, everything that we talked about today, as well as some of the tools that we talked about. And there's our contact information. So like I said, we really appreciate, like Louise said, you taking your own time to be here this evening. And we hope that you'll get in touch with us to help you to get started in any of these projects. And maybe we'll just have Mally just quickly explain, just before we go, what you would need to do if you wanted to join iEarn.
And I just wanted to say thank you as well. So if you want to join iEarn, what you'll do is go to the iEarn homepage, which is iEarn.org, and there's a link on the right-hand side where it says join or ask for information, and that series of links will take you to the registration page. So once you register, there'll be a little section in there after you put your contact information and your email. How did you hear about iEarn? You can just put in OTF Connects and we'll approve your membership. And in the next couple of days, we're going to be sending out a newsletter. And because there have been quite a few people joining in the last little bit, we'll be sending out an email about how to register your students and how to connect with other teachers and how to find projects and just a couple of opportunities that are coming up in the next little bit. Most of the projects are sort of winding down, but we're planning for next year. Some of them are accepting registration now for next year that will also provide information. So there's about 4 or 5 newsletters a year that'll give you information, but if you join and put OTF Connects in the comment box, then we'll approve you, and we'd love to help you and love to see you in the projects, and we hope that you have an opportunity to participate and your students do as well. And thanks for taking the time out of your busy nights.
Thank you so much, Mally and Jim. This has been another phenomenal session from you guys. And I'm sure all of you participants are thinking, oh my gosh, I have to do this stuff. But I think it's really important to go back to what Jim said, and I think now you said it as well. Just pick one and just go ahead and kind of jump in with just one and not let yourself get too overwhelmed, because there are so many things out there, but it'll grow and it'll fold into your classroom much better as you get into it. We do have our feedback survey link up on the screen. Syria is always grateful to have your feedback. The OTF Connect sessions are certainly shaped around the needs that you express to OTF, and we try to offer as much as possible. So do let us know what works for you. The survey only has a few questions on it. Only takes 1 or 2 minutes to complete. The second link on the screen, and you can actually click on these links, will take you just to the OTF Connect's website, where you'll see all the other resources, as well as the upcoming sessions that you can still register for. We have one on elementary financial literacy tomorrow night. If you want to join in on that one, there's lots of fun games and things. All the resources that have been shared tonight, all the links, all the videos, will be posted to the OTF Connect site. In fact, they're all posted right now. I've been working as you guys talk. So the only link that isn't there is the archived recording of the session, because we haven't stopped it yet. But it will be up there tomorrow morning. One of the other options that you have, if you want to quickly grab things, is if you want to go up to File in the toolbar, Save, you'll see that you have an opportunity to save the chat. And it's just a text file, and it'll have all the information and different comments and ideas that people shared there in the chat. And of course, we do have notifications and different resources and things that we do post through Twitter. So if you are into Twitter, then please do follow us at OTF_PD. And again, thank you so much on behalf of Syria for your participation tonight, for giving up your time, and thank you so much to Melanie and Jim for putting such heart into the work that you do. Thank you, and we hope to see you all again soon. And